All right. Good morning, Carrie. How are you?
Good morning. I love your intro. Holy cow, that's amazing. I need to create
I,
one of those. It's
I am
phenomenal.
copying that. I was on another LinkedIn live a while back, and I saw the guy do that, and note to self.
Yeah. I love it. And I don't know what the viewers can see, but like we can see a countdown clock on our side. And so we know when things are about to get rolling. The music is all
Yeah. I think I've seen that too. But yeah,
nicely done.
it's all good. How are you? How was Thanksgiving?
It was lovely. It was lovely. I mean, it was small, right?
Yeah.
It's just me and my husband and our kids and my mom, who lives down the street and has been sort of in our quarantine pod since the
Right.
summer. We've all been working from home, and we were still careful. We opened the windows in the dining room and all that good stuff, but it was really, really nice. How was yours?
Yeah, kind of the same. It's just
Yeah.
my wife and the kids as well.
Yeah.
That's our part right there.
Yeah.
It's a crazy time, and
It's
we're all
it,
adjusting.
it is. And we read every day. I feel like there's new information that comes out about potential vaccines from this group or from that group. And I know that the most recent thing that I read was that they're going to be sort of widely available in April. So and how many people actually get in line and take them in April is another story, but we've got to get through the next couple of months, and I think then hopefully we'll be on the upswing. But it's the next couple of months that I know have a lot of people worried. They say it's going to
I'm concerned that people are going to be sitting there thinking, "Oh, I can keep doing what I want to do until the vaccine comes," and I hope they don't, and continue to practice social distancing and all of those things to mitigate the effects of this thing. So we're all pivoting right now, aren't we? Because of this COVID-19 pandemic. And so I wanted to chat with you this morning about what we're doing right now, which is presenting on camera. Before I dive into that, Carrie, give us a little breakdown on or a little sneak peek into your background, if you could.
I'll give you a quick sneak peek. Yeah. I was in the news business for 20 years, and by news I mean TV journalism, broadcast, and I was an anchor, a reporter, and a producer, Emmy award winning. Most recently at WNBC, I was the morning anchor and reporter on their morning program Today in New York. I left the news business about a year and a half ago, and I started my own business, Carrie Barrett Consulting. You can see my email there scrolling along the bottom of your monitor. And I help people with video presentation and public speaking. And that means a number of different things depending on who the person is and what their goals are. So for executives, for example, it may mean coaching and training for video communications that are internal for their team, or it may mean media training for somebody who is looking to scale their credibility and their visibility via media exposure. For small business owners, it's a dash of production company thrown in as well, and helping people create DIY marketing videos, or helping them as the face of their brand as well and creating those videos myself. So it's a whole host of things. And if anybody needs video content, which is king right now, and I know we're talking a little bit about that today, I would be more than happy to talk to you.
Awesome. And they can see exactly where to find you at carriebarrettconsulting.com, or of course your email is here, carrie@carriebarrettconsulting.com. So you obviously provide a wide range of services, but as we are in this COVID-19 era, as it were, a lot of communication is happening the way we are communicating right now. And although we're talking like we've been friends for 100 years, and we have chatted, like this for a number of times, we've never met in person.
Yeah, well, and we haven't. And the thing that makes this pretty easy, I think, for you and I, is that you're comfortable with video communication as well. Not everybody feels that way, and I get it. I mean, trust me, after 20 years on air, I still don't like seeing myself on video. I still kind of cringe on the inside.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where now, especially, and even in the future, even as the vaccine comes, I think corporations and business owners, small and large, have realized that there is productivity that can happen when people are working from home. It makes a better use often of your time rather than traveling around. And there are a lot of people who, you know, without necessarily the isolation, enjoy being able to stay. I've got sweatpants on right now. Like that,
too, I just checked.
it's not a bad thing. And so this sort of on-camera career, which many of us have, even though we didn't necessarily anticipate that or hope for it, is where all of us are. And there are some basic things that, you know, they're basic to me because I've been on camera for a number of years, but for a lot of people, they're not basic. And I get that, but there's some really simple things you can do to make sure that you sound confident, that you look and sound credible, and that you deliver your message with authority, which is so important right now. There's a lot of noise out there. There are people reaching out to people that they've never spoken to before, and you need to find a way to cut through all of that, whether it comes to delivering your elevator speech or presenting to a client or talking to your boss or as the leader of a team.
Interviewing for a job.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, so that's I agree with you though that although we can't wait for COVID to end, I think we're on a kind of a new path, not a trend, but a path where this kind of communication will continue. You know, people will be presenting more, whether it's you know, making a presentation, a sales pitch, or a job interview, or what have you. So we want to rely on you then, Carrie, to kind of talk us through some of the best practices. What are some of the things we can do to make sure that we come across powerfully, authentic, and engaging?
So I appreciate you asking that. And there's a lot of different things that go into being effective on camera. It is quite different than being across the table from somebody. So if anybody's watching has a question after this that we don't get a chance to address, by all means, please reach out, shoot me an email. I'm happy to walk through things with you after this particular conversation. But the two things that people generally don't understand, understandably, is that when you are on camera, there's a lot of context and nonverbal that we miss out on. So for example, when we're sitting across the table from someone, we can see if they are tapping their foot with impatience, or we can see if they are fiddling on their phone, or we can see if they are distracted or what's going on. But here, outside of this little box that everybody sees you in, there's zero context. It looks really nice behind me. Just to my left is a disaster. It's just, and that's just sort of scratching the surface. There's all sorts of distraction that happen when we are speaking on camera that the other person, the receiver or the communicator, is not aware of. You know, for example, if I'm on a call with a client, I'm very old school. I like to take notes by hand. I find that when I write things down, it helps it stick. But I realize on camera, if I'm over here going like this, you really have no idea what I'm doing. I could be on my phone or I could be taking notes, which is what I was doing. So over communication is key when you are when I look away, I say to a client or whoever I'm on the phone with, I'm not paying attention. I'm writing things down as you say them, just so you know what I'm doing. And I think that's one of the things that gets lost, meaning, again, we don't have this context. So recognizing what you're doing and how it could potentially appear to the person on the other side of the lens, you can't see them. outside of that camera. You can't see what they're doing outside of this box. That is crucial. The other thing that I also like to mention when I'm speaking to a client about communicating on camera is the importance of using emotion, specific words when you are talking. And the reason for that is, as the communicator, you want to make sure that the receiver has the best chance possible of interpreting and receiving your message as it was intended. The difficulty in that when it comes to video communication is that, again, there's no context, and it's really hard to pick up nonverbal communication if you are looking into the lens. For example, what I'm doing now, I don't really see you, Devin. I see sort of your face down here on the left, but I can't pick up whether you're smiling. I don't know whether you're distracted, that sort of thing. So communicating with emotion is so important. And what I mean by that is not extravagant hyperbole, but using emotional words that are the words that would be conveyed, or the feelings that would be conveyed by your facial expression. So I'm really excited about this project. I think it has a lot of potential, you know, blah, 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 blah. However, I'm also concerned about so and so and so. Bringing those two words, this is a very basic example, but excited and concerned helps the viewer or your audience or your listener pick up on the nonverbal parts of your conversation. For example, the expression of excitement or the expression of concern that they may not notice when they are on video. You have to remember that it's not just you that feels uncomfortable with video, it's your audience as well. Most people are not comfortable with this form of communication. So the people to whom you are speaking are dealing with the same sorts of issues that you are. And if you can make their job easier, they will appreciate you for it.
Yeah. You know, so earlier you jokingly spoke about the fact that you're in sweatpants, as I am as well. Yeah. And I think it's one of those things that we should think about and address when we're on camera, because we're home and we're comfortable. And it's important that we you know, look professional when we are on camera, and our background as well don't seem so cluttered. So, you know, touch on that a sec.
Absolutely. So one of the things that, and I've seen it, and I've seen it, and I've been hired to try and fix it. There is a comfort level that comes with this sort of Zoom or video platform process that we find ourselves in, our situation. And it is amplified, and I'm painting with a broad brush here, but it is amplified often with a younger generation. I'm not in that group, but younger people, you know, Gen Xers, millennials perhaps as well, are super comfortable with video. They grew up with it, right? Everybody is familiar with Instagram and TikTok, and Facebook is for us old folks, but YouTube and all that other stuff. But there is a difference between having a conversation with friends on, you know, FaceTime or whatever, and having a professional conversation. And I use this analogy. If you remember, you're not that old, but if you think back to pictures that you saw when the camera was first invented, and you look at the pictures that people took, they were very formal. It was, you know, they were all dressed in black, and they did not smile, and they had to stand there for like 2 hours because if somebody moved, the image was blurry. It was a very formal process. And then as we grew more comfortable with the technology and it became more easily accessible, heck, now, you know, I could take 10 selfies with my phone if I want to, you know, every day, and delete the ones that I don't like and use the ones that I do. We've become, the technology and our comfort with it has become much more casual. It is the same with video, meaning our younger generations especially have become very, very comfortable and very casual with it. To get to your point about what that means when it comes to how you dress and how you look for an interview or an important video call for whatever regard, is make sure that you are wearing something that you would be comfortable sitting in front of your boss wearing across the table. That does not mean you need to be in a 3-piece suit or even a nice button up every single day. If you're in the tech field or in a creative industry, the standards in terms of the formality are quite different than if you are in insurance or if you are a banker. However, you cannot come to a meeting with a client in a sweatshirt or in a, tank top or something like that. You must have an appropriate attire. And again, I'm wearing sweatpants right now. I generally always advise that you should be dressed head to toe because you never know when you're going to have to get up and walk away. But we're friends. I'm going to stay seated.
Right.
I know what the plan is for this call. And regardless, unless there's a fire, I'm going to keep my butt in this chair. So you're not going to see me from the waist down. And so I'm in a creative field. I'm wearing a little bit more of a creative attire than a lot of people would. Color is important as well, something that makes you pop from the background. I had a stylist one time at NBC tell me that there's no surer way to blend into the crowd than to wear black and navy blue. And she's right. I mean, we have a lot of black and navy blue in our closets because they look good. They're flattering. Yeah. However, when you are trying to stand out in front of a sea of gallery views on your webcam or on your monitor, wearing a color that's different from the standard and stands out against your background is key. So that may mean a green, that may mean a silver, that may mean for women who are in a more creative field, perhaps a fuchsia or a pattern. But sit down in front of your camera and take a look at it before you make the call and make sure that it looks okay with what's going on around you.
Yeah. So, make sure you wear something that allows you to stand out against your background. You said, green, except if you're sitting against a green background.
Not if you are sitting in front of a green screen, that is a mistake. Yes.
Yeah, you're going to disappear. You're going to be like the invisible man, right?
You'll just be a disembodied head floating. But you know what? On second thought, Devin, that's a great way to get people's attention too. Maybe.
That's true.
You're wearing a color that contrasts with your background, which means we see you and you stand out and you don't look like an amorphous blob. People think black is great because it's slimming and all that other stuff, and it is. But oftentimes, if you're sitting against a dark background and you're not, which is why it works for you, it can sort of make you look like a blob. And you just need to be aware of those sorts of things. And I realize that it sounds just like aesthetics, but it really is aesthetics with a purpose. And the purpose is to make sure, with all the other distraction that's going on, people are not distracted by what they see on your screen, right? Whatever's going on in the background, your shirt, your hair, whatever it is, they have to be able to focus on your message rather than some crazy stuff that's going on either with your clothing or in the background.
Yeah. So, being minimal is actually a good idea. And I try to keep my hair minimal.
There you go. No. I'm violating a lot of rules of my own, but I'm violating them because I know my background very well and I know my lighting, and I've got a couple of other events coming up right after this that are a little bit more on the creative side.
Right.
But if people have questions about what they should wear, always go with a solid color. If you have any doubt, solid color is the way to go. Avoid the pattern. And then additionally, if you are unsure about what color to wear, brand colors are always a great idea as long as they're flattering on you and they stand out from the background. Or blue, and a cobalt blue, even a sort of a powder blue, a slate blue. Blue is universally flattering. There's not a single person who can put it on and look bad. So if you have any doubt, solid and blue is the way to go.
There you go. No, something I learned from you about, when you're communicating with someone is that you should actually look in the camera.
Yes.
Because it gives a sense that you're actually looking at the person as opposed to looking down on the screen. You look down on the screen when the other person is speaking, and when you're speaking to them, you look in the camera so they get that sense that you're looking at them.
It absolutely. And you have learned, and I appreciate that. I can see.
I'm trying, and it's one of those things where whether I'm interviewing someone or just having a Zoom call, which is the thing these days, it's always in the back of my mind, and I'm always kind of conscious of where my eyes are, if I'm speaking or whether I'm listening.
It's tricky, and I understand why it is. The only reason that I am comfortable with it is because I spoke this way for 20 years. I had a lot of time to get used to it. But I realized that for most people who are not, familiar with being on camera or how it works, the natural inclination is to look down, or wherever your monitor is, to look and see the other person's face. However, what that looks like from the other side is akin to this: having a conversation with you who are here while I am looking over here. You would never have a conversation like this in real life, and you can see why it starts to get awkward.
Yeah.
I'm looking at my monitor, and so I see your face, but you and the audience does not. And so the key with on-camera communications, and this takes practice. I advise some people who really struggle with it to put a little sticky note underneath their camera with an arrow that says "look here." But when you are looking into that camera, the other person, the receiver of your message, doesn't see any of that awkwardness. They don't see any of that discomfort. They don't feel like like you feel on the inside. I should be looking at the monitor. I can't see who I'm talking to. All they see is you looking at them in the eye. That's all they see. And looking somebody in the eye is so crucial to establishing a connection with them. It is absolutely natural when you are sitting across the table from someone in person. You look them in the eye. You may break gaze every now and then to look around, but generally you're looking them in the eye. And so when you're sitting in front of a video, and let's be honest, the reason we do video calls rather than just emails or regular phone conversations is because in this environment, it provides us an additional element of connection with people who we may never have the opportunity to meet in person. So that's why it's important, and that credibility and trust that it establishes. So look in the camera when you are speaking to somebody. And you mentioned, Devin, the follow-up question to that is always, but I can't gauge my audience's nonverbals. I can't see. Do they look happy? Are they frustrated? Are they getting impatient? And you're right. That is one of the obstacles that we have to overcome when we are talking on camera. The way to try and recoup some of those lost nonverbals is when the other person is speaking, that's when you look down and look at their face. You see what their expression is. You see, are they perhaps on the edge of their seat? Do they look tired? Do they look bored? Are they smiling? It's not a perfect system. It's really not, but it's one of those things that we're going to have to be able to overcome if we're going to live in this environment for any period of time, which I think we all have come to some sort of agreement that, yes, this is how things will be progressing for the foreseeable future.
Yeah. And, so one of the kind of my rule of thumb as well, as we find ourselves going deeper and deeper into this presenting on camera world, is, right now we're sitting and we're having this conversation. And I think it's okay to do that. Let's say this is how you would have normally communicated at a meeting or an interview. But if you're making a presentation, as I do whenever I'm making a presentation as opposed to having a conversation, an interview, I stand. Because that's why I would be on stage standing. I wouldn't be there sitting and, giving this 90-minute talk. And you'd be surprised at the difference it makes, because when you stand there, you just naturally have more energy, as opposed to, trying to sit there for an hour, droning along. After a while, you get monotonous, your energy saps, and you start to lose that connection, because it's already challenged being over camera. You starting to lose energy.
Do you want to know something interesting? I'm so glad you brought that point up. So one of sort of the behind the scenes elements of TV news broadcasting is that when a reporter is going to track a package or a video piece, meaning they're going to speak their words, and you're going to, when it comes across your TV set, you'll hear their words with video over it. Our edit booths and our audio booths are designed for us to stand up. We record our voices when we're standing up, not when we're sitting down, for exactly the reason that you mentioned. It infuses your voice with more energy. It gives your voice a deeper resonance because you can actually use your diaphragm a lot better when you are standing, or at its full capacity when you're standing versus sitting. And so you are 100% accurate that's standing provides energy. It helps you use your voice to its fullest capacity, and it sort of infuses everything with an energy that sometimes can be hard to replicate when you're sitting down for a long time.
Yeah. So guys, Carrie, this has been awesome. This has been, informative, because I think, again, all of us are still learning how, as we're wading to the sea of uncertainty provided by COVID. We're still learning to operate on so many different levels. And definitely, it's one thing to have a FaceTime conversation with your friend, but when we're talking about operating in the business world, the attitude has to be, and the way we present ourselves have to be completely different, right?
100%. It's really hard to make that transition. It's harder for the younger generation because they're really comfortable with it, and so they have to sort of get a little bit more buttoned up. And then I think for the older generations, this idea of video communication and video marketing and video content is somewhat new. I mean, video really has only exploded onto the scene in terms of marketing and communication in the scheme of things somewhat recently. And so it's being able to communicate enthusiastically, interestingly, being likable on camera, which is a whole nother thing that is sort of that X factor that is hard to really put your finger on, but it's an important element of being successful when it comes to video communications. I mean, this is to some degree showbiz. I hate to put it in that box, but it is, you are being performative so that your message gets across the way that you want it to. And keeping all of those elements in mind as you're speaking and as you're communicating are important. It's a lot to take on, though. I get it.
Indeed. So, Carrie, I know you offer a free 15-minute consultation.
Yes. Absolutely. So anybody that is listening to this has questions about, speaking on camera, public speaking, creating video, strategy, content, presentation, the whole 9 yards. I'd be happy to speak with you. All you have to do is reach out via email. Let me know in that email that you joined us on LinkedIn Live today, Carrie and Devin, and I will send you a link and you can schedule a free strategy session through that link. And I'd be delighted to talk to anybody who's listening who would like to.
By the way, even if you're scared of public speaking, especially if you're scared of public speaking, you should call her, because she used to be as well.
I did.
Believe that. We're not making stories up. She was scared of public speaking.
Terrified. Not even just a normal rational phobia. I mean, back of the room, probably in the fetal position, maybe in a puddle of my own vomit, terrified of public speaking. And it's through just taking small bites at that apple, if you will, every day that helped me get to the point where I am now. That said, very quickly, for people who are listening, everybody gets nervous before they have to give a big presentation. Everybody, it's because you care what you're speaking about. So I always tell people, you'll never expect the butterflies to go away fully, but you will have the strategies and the confidence to be able to handle them, to know that you are giving the best performance possible. And perhaps most importantly of all, to know that whatever is thrown your way, whether it's a tech glitch or you forget what you're talking about, both of which have happened on multiple, you have a giant flub in your speech, you have the confidence to know that you can handle whatever comes your way, whether it's self-induced or not, and to come out on the other side still standing. That's where the real confidence lies.
That is so true. I was just asked that question earlier this week if I get nervous whenever I'm speaking, and I'm like, yeah, absolutely, I do. I get nervous if I'm not nervous.
Yeah, you're like, this is going to go very poorly.
Yeah, but the nervousness is, as you said, Carrie, because you care, you want to do well, and so it's just like, hey, I'm on the right track. So, Carrie, thank you so much. This has been awesome, as I said earlier. And guys, if you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to connect with her. You can see her information there. She's at carrieconsulting.com, and her email, carrie@carrieconsulting.com. Thank you for joining. Looking forward to connecting with you next time. Until then, keep on pushing.